The information discussed on Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin Money. Talkin Money.
More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
All right, how you doing?
Good morning.
We may have to close that door there. I'm catching a little breeze there. Hey, we are back on our road show again this week, and you'll notice, if I go quiet for a second, no motocross noise. So we actually have a place to sit down, and there's not dust blowing in our face. This is like a dream here, Johnny.
This is nice.
We are actually on the road again. I like to do this in the summer, get out of the studio a little bit, do a little running around. So we are on Truxell Road, damn near on the road. We are, what is the address here?
2820
Truxell. We're like a couple blocks north of West El Camino, I think. That's West El Camino down there, right? Did you ever find the donuts, by the way? We have to attract people here.
I was running a little late.
Oh, you're running late. Okay. That is Realtor Chad Phillips. Chad is holding an open house out here, so we came out and we're squatting, basically, is what we're doing, because for some reason my key at the studio doesn't work anymore. I don't get what happened. I'm sure I'm still on the air, but we are out doing a little open house, and you don't see a lot of open houses anymore. Chad, I was talking to somebody the other day. I was asking a realtor, how many open houses are you doing? And she's like, none. By the time the house hits MLS,
true.
I've already got offers coming in, and so I don't even get a chance to kind of go out there and hold an open house. And even this is a rarity, really. This house, Chad, is about 1,800 square feet, 4 bedrooms, and it's something in the 150, 160 price range. You never see anything like this anymore.
Well, there's just a shortage of inventory across the board, not in just one area. So, especially for FHA buyers, it's slim to none out there. So, this is a great property for that. It'll go FHA. Price at $159. It'll go this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. That's why we said we better come out and do it today, because it won't be a house next weekend. They come out and do. So, if you are out looking around, you want to stop in and just say hi. We are, what's the address again here? Truxell?
2820
Truxell. So you can stop in. They're doing an open house. You can kind of see this house in the 160, 165 range, kind of what you get and what's out there. And you can get pre-approved. Johnny's here if you want to talk to him about doing some loans or just meet Chad. And this is one of the, as I mentioned, this is kind of a rarity, because I tell all my clients they're out shopping for anything under $250 is you better have a realtor. Because a lot of people believe now that that the internet can be their realtor. So, I'll just shop the internet when it comes up. But when it hits the internet, it's probably the public version of MLS. I think is a day delayed. I think the data comes out the next day.
24 to 48 hours, actually.
Yeah. So there you go. So if you're really, really interested in trying to find something, and it doesn't, right now maybe it doesn't matter what price range you're at, any price range. If you want to find something quick, you had better be on your realtor's that instant email system. So the minute that Chad puts the thing in MLS and hits, all the realtors get it, comes on their system, and you can get an email of it. And that's within an hour.
Right.
And you waiting for 48 hours for it to hit MLS on the public version isn't going to work in 99% of the cases, because someone else is already going to have jumped on it and seen the property. So that's what I find that is a little bit of a misconception. And I think we've talked about this before, is that people think, home buyers think, okay, I've made the decision to become a home buyer now, and so the world, if you read the paper, the world is a big pile of crap for people that are selling their houses, and so I should have all kinds of stuff to choose from, and people should welcome me with open arms. And then they get out here and they find, man, there's not much to look at, and if I don't jump right on it, I'm not going to get it. And so and everybody asks me all the time, do you think I need a realtor? First off, let me tell you something. If you're buying, it doesn't cost you a dime. And I don't know where that conception comes from, because I've had people ask me, well, where in the closing fees do I have to, how much is the realtor going to cost me as a buyer? It doesn't cost you anything. And then the next thought is, well, okay, if I just use the listing agent, then I'm more likely to get the offer accepted because maybe they'll kick a little bit of money back to the seller. That isn't going to happen either, because the listing agent, if he's dealing with you as the buyer and dealing with the seller, is doing twice as much work. And so they're not, you're not going to pass on any savings to you. And it's twice as much work. And frankly, my experience with listing agents is they're listing agents for a lot of them for a reason. That's what they do best. They find banks and REOs and home properties, and they get properties listed, and they're not maybe the best representing buyers a lot of times. They do.
Well, also, the listing agent's there to represent the seller, so it's kind of hard for them to negotiate on your best interest as a buyer when...
Although technically they're required to, think about it. You want to... It's hard to fight for two people, you know?
Yeah, you're fighting with yourself.
It's like being the referee in a boxing match and hoping they both, don't get hurt or they don't get hit. It doesn't happen that way. So, what are your just general concepts about the market right now? What are you seeing? Because I get asked this question every single week. What about this shadow inventory? We're expecting 6 million homes to come on the market, and I'm thinking, where are these houses, and when is it going to come? And please send some now.
I can tell you for a fact we have several REO accounts, and in our office we have about a dozen. And we talk to the asset managers, and there is a gluttony of inventory out there. The banks have it; they're just not releasing it. So
now, are you talking nationwide, or are you talking in Sacramento? Or
Well, I only deal with asset managers for my area, but I have, it's got to be across the board.
Yeah.
And is what they're doing. They're trying a lot of different pilot programs. They're really trying to push short sales now. There's Bank of America is giving several incentives now for doing the short sales. So that's about a 6-month-old process there through DTS, and that's
but a short sale isn't going to. So a short sale, if they're encouraging short sales, which I think is great.
Yeah.
But then that doesn't become a shadow inventory, because that's not something the bank is holding, because a short sale is just. We've just moved it on to another buyer. So, but you're telling me you're still hearing that there are actually homes they're sitting on.
They're cooking the books in some way or fashion. I'll tell you that, because trust me, I've talked to plenty of people that haven't made payments in 28, 29 months.
Yep.
At some point, and then the NOD was just filed a couple months ago. So,
I think that there's something we don't know on the secondary side. There's some money in there somewhere for the bank through the gut. There's got to be a reason why they're incentivized to sit on these properties, and they're either collecting fees from.
We know the government's throwing in some money.
Yeah,
especially to the big banks.
Yeah, so there's got to be something in there that we're not hip to yet, which gives them incentive to just sit on their rear and not foreclose on these. And I'm with you. I know, particularly in the upper end of properties, that there's people who've been living in these places for a year. They haven't got a letter yet. I've been there like a year. They got one phone call. Are you going to make your payment? Well, after a year, probably not. So it's interesting.
We're not out of the woods yet.
I wish they would open up the door to the woods, because we have people that are out here dying trying to buy something while rates are low and people are feeling okay about themselves. What the hell are they sitting on them for? I don't get it. Maybe nationwide I could see putting them out on the market is not going to help, but in Northern California, someone's got to open up their eyes and say, you know what? Let's drop 25% on them and see what we can sell, because this is ridiculous. We've got people that are quitting, just giving up shopping for homes. Because they're like, I can't find anything. I've made 10 offers. Obviously I can't afford enough, or I'm not doing something right. And they just, they quit.
Yeah, I've had several of that. Same thing.
So anyway, if you want to, we're out here. If you're out running around today, you want to stop in. If you are a first time buyer looking at properties that are under 200,000, there aren't many of them to look at, and very few. This might be the only open house this whole weekend, under 165,000. So we're out here on Truxell. If our numbers today, if you want to jump in, 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140, and you can text us at 44-1140. And Chris, I didn't forget about you, by the way. We're going to do the 60 seconds from the mind of Christopher Lott before we go out of the break. So, Chad, appreciate that very much, and we'll check back with you a little bit later. And if you show up at the donuts, we probably can find some more walk-through traffic, but we'll see how that goes. What are you seeing as far as your clients and buyers? Are you have the same frustration that I'm seeing?
Absolutely. FHA buyers out there looking at properties, and either there are none, or the ones that they do get offers in, they're not FHA financeable, but because of whatever situation, septic tanks that are illegally done, or additions that are illegally done, or not
permitted.
Legal, not permitted.
Yeah.
And
here's
lots of that.
Here's one thing that I see a lot that I'm getting feedback on now. And Chad, put your headphone back on. I want to ask you one more thing, because I'm not sure I understand the logic behind this. So when I'm we're sending out clients with a pre-approval letter for FHA, and then I'm getting a call back or an email back from them, like a week later saying, hey, could I go conventional because my agent doesn't think that an FHA offer will be accepted, or the seller won't accept an FHA offer. Are you seeing that from, because you do a lot of buyer stuff? So are you seeing so what is their concern, or why are we getting that brushback on the FHA?
There's a little stigma with the FHA. I mean, with the competition out there, you kind of have a tier level. You got the cash buyers at the top, of course, conventional, and then FHA and VA is kind of at the same. But if the buyer can afford to go put an extra 1.5% down and go conventional 5%, if you run the numbers, it makes a lot of sense.
There are some advantages, but for both, for sure. But that's so. Are you thinking that the seller or the selling agent is looking at an FHA buyer and looking at them as a weak buyer because they're not putting down?
I think so, absolutely.
Okay, because I have been reading that more as that the conventional appraisal or the conventional process will be somehow different or easier than FHA, and John's shaking his head no.
I think there is that misconception out there.
Yeah, and so and you get this a lot. Well, they don't want to go through an FHA appraisal, and I said, well, the same person, although we don't choose them, but the same person comes out and he says, I've got an FHA form in my right hand and a conventional form in my left hand. Which form would you like me to fill out? I mean, it's not like he, when he has the FHA appraisal in his hands, he tears the house apart, tooth and nail and looks at it any differently than a conventional. If the appraiser walks out and falls through the rotten deck and breaks his leg, he's going to be irritated, and he's going to be irritated whether it's conventional or an FHA. So they're not going to ignore health and safety issues, either way. So that's the one misconception I think that's out there is for some reason, the FHA appraisal is so wildly different than the conventional. For all intents and purposes, it's really not.
Yeah, and a lot of time with the way financing is, FHA is actually better for the buyer with credit scores and things like that. They're getting a better payment, a better structure, better rate,
yeah.
And it's really, to us on the lending side, it's as strong as a conventional loan, and sometimes much better for the buyer.
Yeah. And I was talking to some people that were looking in the $500,000 and $600,000 range the other day. Mm-hmm. Didn't know you could go FHA all the way up to basically $600,000 because you can finance $580,000. So, and the guy's asking me, well, what do I need to do to qualify for FHA, or what do I have to do to get in that program? I said, you don't have to do anything. I mean, you have to qualify like you do anything else. And so he had this conception that FHA was only kind of an entry level buyer program, and this was a person who had. Could have put down a lot more, chose to keep his financing at a higher level, take the write-off, and use his money for other things. In particular, in some of these houses where they say, okay, look, I'm just going to put down 3.5% because when I get in there, like some of these houses, you come in and you say, okay, I want to spend $20,000 or $30,000 when I get in. I don't want to put it all in down payment. So anyway, I just wanted to get your thoughts, Chad, what you're seeing on that side of things is if there's a stigma to that.
I think the stigma is about a skin in the game. You're talking most people when they're writing an FHA offer, they're only coming in and putting maybe $1,000 down.
Right.
Versus if someone's going conventional, they generally have a little more cash in their pocket. And so I think that is a big factor. The other thing is seller concessions. We're not seeing a lot of that anymore. It's simply for the fact you can't make a strong offer when you have concessions.
No, that I agree with.
Right.
I agree, and that has been what Chad's referring to is that you come. A lot of FHA buyers are right down to the penny,
right.
Or getting a gift for some money, and then they need the seller to pay all their closing fees for them, and that's getting very difficult to do in the lower price ranges. Maybe if you bought a $500,000 house, you probably have no real problem, but on the lower prices, so you're going to have to come in probably, loaded for bear, ready to just close your own deal and make your highest and best offer. Don't burden them with paying a bunch of closing fees, and make your offer look as close to every other offer that's going on out there. So. Because we can write a pre-qual letter, a very strong pre-qual letter for an FHA buyer, and we have very high credit scores, and sometimes I'll even call the listing agent or who's making on the other end of it and say, hey, we could go conventional. They're going FHA for other purposes, but I try to make a real strong sales pitch to them to let them know this is a really good buyer, and don't pay attention to what the program code says, because frankly, if it wasn't for the two forms that the seller had to sign, they wouldn't know the difference anyway.
Right.
There's two forms that say it's an FHA loan, and otherwise it's money. So that's interesting. Okay, but you got some people walking through the house. We'll let you do that. Yeah, Chris, we're going to take a break. Chris, why don't we do the 60 seconds from the mind of Christopher Lott, and then you can take us out to break from there if you would. What's on your mind down there? What's on your mind down there?
Well, as everyone knows, I am a fan of boxing, and a couple weeks ago, Bob Arum, the promoter for Manny Pacquiao, was stating about Floyd Mayweather. When Floyd Mayweather said, "Okay, Manny's afraid of fighting me," that's like something that's been around from boxing for hundreds of years. So when he says that, Bob Arum says, "Oh, well, I guess Floyd Mayweather is taking the same school of propaganda as Joseph Goebbels." So to compare Floyd Mayweather to a Nazi propagandist is going a little too far. And a little advice for anyone who ever gets in an argument: as soon as you bring in Nazis, Hitler, or Holocaust, you already lost your point. So
yeah, things are going downhill quickly. That's for sure. Good one.
As soon as you say that, you lost. that is automatic disposal.
We're going to do a quick quiz question here before we go. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Or you can text me at 441140. And this is for the Mix It Up gift certificate. We did not give one away last weekend because we were just out of our element there. So Mix It Up, the free one-day beverage machine rental, courtesy of Mix It Up. You can have that delivered to your house locally. 339-1140 or 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. Go ahead, Johnny. What's your quiz?
Yes, we had a very nice piece of sports memorabilia out there.
Yeah.
Sell for over $4.4 million.
The Floyd Mayweather glove. No?
Not quite.
Okay,
but same ballpark.
So 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140 for the Mix It Up one-day beverage rental machine. What sold for $4.4 million of sports memorabilia this week? If you know the answer to that, give us a call. This is Talkin Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell. That's John Fodero, and that's Chad Phillips. We're out here on Truxell at the open house. Come check us out. We'll be right back.